Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, what does it take to be unshakable when the world tell you you're not enough?
Mm.
Today, I am here joined by Dr. Janet Lockhart-Jones, known as the Authentic Power Doctor, who has made it her mission to help women leaders overcome imposter syndrome, silence limiting beliefs, and step boldly into your authentic power. Welcome
Mm.
to Unbreakable.
Thank you, Kevin.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Unbreakable. I'm here with the phenomenal Dr. Janet. Dr. Janet, thanks for joining us today.
Of course, it is my sincere pleasure, Kevin, to be a guest on your show. I'm just overjoyed by the honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you, thank you. My mission in Unbreakable really is about joining the positive side of messaging, sharing tools and techniques to be successful minus the consequences. We
Right.
talked earlier where there's a lot of messiness out there and people choose messy ways to get things done and you don't have to. So we're on the
Yeah.
side where the skill set comes into play. And I know that you are a major contributor to really helping people.
Mm.
So tell
I
us about your doctorate and what you accomplished in terms of being a doctor. What's your discipline in?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Kevin. So, my doctorate is in organization and leadership. I went to the University of San Francisco, which is a private Jesuit university. I always had a keen interest in people, in understanding why people behave as they do in organizations. And so, I link back to what you just said about there's so much messiness in the world today, and some people are choosing messiness when they don't have to. And
Right.
that's almost like the premise of my dissertation, around what I should say, of my focus in my doctoral studies about why do people behave the way they do. So I did a lot of studying around organizational behavior, studied a lot of behaviorists, leadership theory, etc. And my dissertation was actually on transformational leadership. I did a qualitative and a quantitative study within a government organization trying to seek out what makes leaders transformational or not. And it was an incredible journey from beginning to end. And I was so overjoyed when I was able to publish the results and share those results back with the leaders who agreed to be included in my journey. And one of the things that really stood out from that body of work, Kevin, was that how leaders saw themselves was often very different than how their peers, their direct reports, their clients or customers saw them.
Wow.
So, and for some, it was a rude awakening. It's like, wow, is that how I'm perceived? Um,
Yes.
and yeah, this is how others perceive you, so we, as leaders, as professionals, even though sometimes we are very well intended, we often carry around blind spots. And blind
Absolutely.
spots are those things that we can't see but others can see, right? And maybe if we just
Maybe.
turned our head a little bit, maybe we could see them too. But sometimes we
Exactly.
tell ourselves that, no, I put so much effort and time and energy into becoming the type of leader that I am. So I know that what I'm doing is right. Well, not necessarily. It may
And
be
all you
right in
got to
your
do is
eyes.
ask. Yes, all you got to do is ask your audience, ask your students what type of teacher you are. And look, they'll be honest enough to tell you. The question is, are you? Can you handle the truth?
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly. But see, and that's the thing, Kev. That's the thing. Many leaders, in organizations, there's a lot of 360 assessments done, right? That a leaders will have their direct reports do. And included in those 360 assessments, the leaders will give both quantitative and through some type of assessment tool, as well as qualitative feedback to their direct reports. And I know this because over the past 25 plus years of working in government and corporate, I've had to administer and go over the results of 360 assessments with a lot of leaders, right? However, I've rarely seen leaders give out those assessments to their peers and their direct reports and say, evaluate me. Tell me how
Exactly.
you perceive. And so if
Exactly.
they choose to not do that, they don't grow, they don't develop, right? And then they wonder why sometimes there's so much conflict between the leader and the employees.
Exactly. And I know one of the assessments that I go in, and when I'm doing team development and training, is it is the rising star, middle star, and falling star, and a team member is
Right.
randomly selected and given that feedback right there in that meeting with their assessment.
Wow.
And you kind of circle it and you just give
Uh-huh.
it to them, and then a person's going through it and they're like falling star, falling star, falling star. But people really think they're better than what they are, which kind of takes me to one of my first questions, and that is, you have a very unique brand. You call yourself the Authentic Power Doctor. Can you break that down and kind of let me know how that really works for leadership and building women in the corporate space, or not even in the corporate space, but just building women?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that question. Yeah, so the authentic power doctor communicates several things. First of all, I do have a doctorate. I have 5 years of studying and bruising behind me to prove that. So I can legitimately say that. And you're right. And I'm glad you used the word brand because this really is my brand. It captures, I'm hoping for the audience, the core of my work and what I do with leaders. And it's reflective also of my mission. And it's reflective of my mission really on my own terms. As you stated, I help women move from this mindset of imposter syndrome and toxic perfectionism to genuine confidence and
Oh,
power. So
yes.
I heard that. Ooh, let me say that again. So, what I do as the authentic power doctor is to help women move from a mindset afflicted with imposter syndrome and toxic perfectionism, move them from that to genuine confidence and power. Because when we talk about authentic power, there's a lot under that. One
Yes, it
thing that's
is.
under that is confidence. It's confidence. If you do not have the self confidence or the confidence, enough confidence in yourself, you're going to have a difficult road ahead and you're going to have many, many struggles in moving up to the next level. Secondly, the authentic power doctor, as I said, it's about moving women away from this notion of I'm not enough. No matter how many accolades some women have, doctorate, masters, certification, award this on all different whatever. Sometimes for some women, they still feel like it's not enough.
Dr. Jan, let me
And
ask you a quick
when you
let me jump in real quick, because what you said was very
sure,
important, and is that the number one barrier to holding people back from accomplishing and grabbing their authentic power is the confidence? What's the number one barrier? Because you just said a mouthful with those two just right there.
Yeah, you know, um, I'll tell you. Let me answer that question this way,
Okay.
because before this podcast, I did do a little bit of research, but I'm gonna tell you what for many years held Janet back. I want to make this personal.
Okay.
For years, what held me back was imposter syndrome, not feeling like I was good enough, even though I worked on my master's and my doctorate, got my doctorate at the time as a soon to be single mom, traveled all over the world serving clients, but yet I still felt that perhaps I was still a fake.
Right.
And another reason why, Kevin, I felt like I was an imposter is because I have always stuttered since I was a little girl. And this is what I wrote about in our most recent anthology, Stories from the World's Greatest Speakers. My chapter in that anthology was about from stuttering to the big stage. And
Okay.
that's not the exact title, but that was sort of the essence, because I was never that one who said, well, let me raise my hand to be called on in class. Yes, I knew the answer, but I was thinking that I was going to embarrass myself because the words wasn't going to come out right. And that
Right.
left me feeling shameful that,
Okay.
yes, I'm smart enough to be here because I've proved that over and over and over again. And I was moving up the ladder in the organizations where I was employed, but I still felt some self doubt. And self doubt breeds lack of confidence. And lack of confidence contributes to sometimes toxic perfectionism, which is a real term meaning that nothing's ever good enough, so that you wear yourself out. You dang near kill yourself trying to get stuff perfect for external validation. And see, as the
Okay.
authentic power doctor, I want to help women rid themselves of low self confidence, low self esteem, and talk and imposter syndrome, and to stop looking for external validation, look inward,
That's
to
that's super
appreciate.
that's super powerful,
Yes,
Dr. Janet. That's super powerful what you just said about having people elevate themselves and looking at it. So I come from a sports background and bringing the pressure and performance on the field
yes,
to the
yes.
boardroom. Let me ask you this question. If pressure often really reveals a person's character, and so when we look at being unbreakable, the E is really about elevating in every area in terms of your mindset, your character, and your performance. So that when the pressure
Mhm.
comes, you don't crack or feel like you're not good enough. What would you
Right.
coach people on, or what would you say on how to prepare for certain pressure moments, or when I feel pressure, what should I do?
Well, thank you. I think one of the best responses to pressure is resilience.
Oh,
But resilience doesn't just happen in an instant. You have to go through a series and patterns. And this is what I help the ladies in my coaching programs do, understand what some powerful mindfulness and resilience practices are. Because in the moment of chaos and tension and stress, That's not the time to think about, well, want to be resilient. What do I do? That is the time to say, I know what resilience means. I know what
Yes.
techniques will work best for me to help me deal with this situation and maybe optimize the situation to my benefit. Even
Yes.
though
Come
at
on.
first glance, even though at first glance, the incident seemed very negative and stressful and trying. But see, with resilience practices, you learn to train your mind to look for the positive in everything. And you have to
Yes.
continue to tell yourself, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Shall
Come
pass.
on.
And also, because I'm a very spiritual person, I've been in the church all my life. I call myself, when called upon, a quasi pastor. But you also have to have faith.
That's
You got to
right.
have faith in the word, faith in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Now,
Come
some
on.
some of your listeners might say, well, hey, I'm not down with that religion stuff or this and that. And that's okay. But you got to have faith in something.
That's right.
And if you can't have faith in yourself, then what are you going to pull from when your well is running dry?
That's
You got
right.
to pull from somewhere. And
That's
I
right.
learned, it's nothing now for me to say, oh Lord, I don't know why this is happening to me.
Right. Right.
But I need you to help me respond. I
That's
need
right.
you to help me stay intact. I need you to help me see my way through this. But at the same time, let this be a learning opportunity for me and an opportunity to grow and develop. In other words, we have to sometimes change the narrative
That's right.
on what's in front of us. We have to change what we are telling ourselves. It's like the old adage, glass half empty, glass half full. Depends on how you
That's
see it.
right.
That's going how you interpret it. That's going to then lead you to take either direction A or direction B, because our thoughts and our minds control our
That's right.
actions,
That's
right?
so
Our
powerful.
thoughts and our
Yes.
minds control.
That's super
Yes,
powerful. Yeah.
controls our actions. And so, yeah, and so if you can adopt a path of resilience and mindfulness that helps you remain clear, helps you retain a certain level of clarity through the chaos, then you can move over to the next side, the other side of the
That's
river.
good. That's super powerful. We don't have time for a couple of more questions, but what you said about the resilience training in Unbreakable, that's what the R actually stands for. It stands for the resilience, and it's really preparing before the pressure even comes. And the words that you use
Yes.
is so important, like the glass half empty versus the glass half full. And a lot of times when I'm coaching in the boardroom, it just depends on what side you look at things from. Now you can
Yes.
keep your viewpoint, but what if you looked at it from the
Yes.
west? And then what if you looked at it from the north? And then what if you looked at it from the
Mhm.
east? And then what if you looked at it from the south? You'll see things look totally different. And all you did was changed your position. It didn't mean you gave up what you believe in. It just
Right.
meant you changed the position on how
Right.
you looked at things. And so that's really super important. And
Exactly.
so you wear many hats as a leader, a business owner, a consultant, a coach. And then since
Yeah.
April, you became the president of Miss Corporate America Texas. And a lot of these have a lot of
Yes. Yes.
different diverse roles. And connecting to your mission and drawing out your authentic power in women. How are you the president there, and what is your goal that you're hoping to accomplish with the ladies in Texas?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that question as well. So, I want to get something clear. Lockhart-Jones Consulting, Coaching and Training, and Miss Corporate America are not separate. They are just different facets of my overall mission.
Nice.
Moving women leaders from imposter syndrome, self doubt, and low confidence. That's the heart and essence of Miss Corporate America. So whether I'm doing it as the president of Lockhart Jones Consulting, whether I'm doing it in a training class, etc., where I often have men and women, but men need this type of awakening as well. So the MCA platform, Miss Corporate America platform in particular, amplifies my mission even further. It's a real world example of giving women an opportunity to showcase their brilliance in a structure that amplifies and elevates them, but also builds a sisterhood around them. Because one way to help get rid of imposter syndrome and low self confidence is a sisterhood that is telling you and confirming that you are more than enough. You
Nice.
are more than enough. And sometimes people just need to hear this. I know when I was doing a ton of coaching for corporate women, Kevin, I would get women who would have, remember we talked about
Yep.
360 assessments a few
Yep.
minutes ago?
Absolutely.
I would get women who would come to me and we'd go through their 360 assessments, book, book, line by line, comment by comment. I remember this one lady, her 360, and she had like 25 raters. So it wasn't that, she only had five or six or one or two. She had 25 raters, including her boss, her skip level boss, peers, clients. Her 360 was a perfect example of what one would want to see in a 360. You know what she told me after the tears started coming
What was
down?
that?
She says, I don't believe this. She says, I don't believe it. Self doubt, obviously, lack of self confidence, obviously, imposter syndrome, obviously, just from her words that said, where she shared with me, Dr. Janet, I don't believe it. And I said, the only question I asked her was why. This is what she said, and this is what I've come to recognize. She said, because growing up, no one told me I was smart. No one told me I was good. No one told me I was good enough, not even my parents.
Wow.
So, how is it that these people who I have been working with for only 2 years can say all this stuff about me? And I never heard this in my 30 years now. See, what I've
Wow.
learned is that for a lot of women, and I'll say perhaps men too, because I've heard similar, what they bring to their role as a leader is often a manifestation of what they dealt with when they were young.
That's right. We call it LVS,
And
the little voice syndrome.
little boy syndrome or little
Little
girl
voice
syndrome.
syndrome.
But there's
Yeah.
so many people, yeah, and so they don't they don't look at themselves as I deserve these accolades. I'm smart. I'm educated. I have a lot to offer to the world. They don't look at themselves through that lens because they're in this mindset still from when they were young. And
Right.
that's why the authentic power doctor seeks to unlock and unleash the innate power that so many people repress for because they think that they're not worthy or they don't deserve it, or that, well, if I say this, people are going to think I'm being to this or being to that. You know, I had a leader tell me when I was working as a regular W-2. I had a leader I interviewed for this senior level role, and we had to do specific things. It was like three of us as candidates. And she said, after the interview, she said, you know, you, out of the people who have interviewed, you were the best, Janet. You had the best interview. You blew us away with your power and your strong presence. However,
Mhm.
my team, you know, there's always a however, my
Look,
team,
however, right.
right? However, my team thinks that you may be too strong and intimidating to the point that some of the senior vice presidents might see you as being too powerful and too assertive.
Mm, mm,
But,
mm.
but give me some time. I think I can convince my team that you're the right candidate for this.
Right.
Now, this lady had known me. We had worked on executive development programs together. We had a pretty good rapport. And, but I got to thinking, and this is where authentic power comes in. You have to know your worth, you have to know your value.
That's right.
So I thought about that. You got to go back to your team. Now, wait a minute, you're the selecting official here, but you have to go back to your team and convince them that I'm the right person. But you yourself suggested that the senior VPs and other senior leaders might be, uh, that might uh, might perceive me as being her word, too assertive.
Hmm.
I thought about that, thought about it for a couple of days. And then I said, well, you know what? If it's starting out like this already, this is not for me.
That's right.
And so I removed myself. I removed my candidacy. Oh, well, Janet, why are you doing this? We're still, yeah, the fact that
Look,
you're still
that's right.
talking.
That's
So
right.
we have
That's
to
an
be willing to
indication. Yeah.
stand in our power, stand in our presence, value ourselves, know that we are more than enough. And that's what the Authentic Power Doctor and Miss Corporate America and Lockhart-Jones Consulting is all about.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. We have 30 seconds left. And in that 30 seconds, can you talk about 30 seconds now? What is the first important step that somebody needs to take, whether they're a man or a woman, to be their authentic and fulfilled self? What would be the first step you would advise somebody to
Yes.
take?
I would say the first step is to ask yourself, what are the current, what is the biggest gap in your life right now between the life you want to lead, I'm sorry, between your, what is the biggest gap right now in the life that you want to lead versus the life that you have?
Ooh,
What is the gap between the life that you want to live and the life that you are living? Because,
ooh,
see, it
that's
starts
powerful.
with being reflective. It
Yes.
starts with being reflective. And as a coach, you know, or as coaches, we ask questions. We don't tell people, but we have to ask immersive, probative questions to get people to think. So once they can tell me, this is the gap between the life I'm currently leading and the life I want to lead, then that's part of our, that's
Then
a main component of our roadmap forward.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Dr. Janet, thank you so much for being here on Unbreakable. You just dropped down a whole bunch of knowledge. I hope that helps people. The goal here in Unbreakable is to bring reputable, quality people in to join the positive side of solutions with with no negative consequences versus being messy
Yes.
and how we deal with things. And so, Dr. Janet, again, thank you for being here on Unbreakable. And just remember, you have to work on yourself and work on your mindset to become resilient. There are steps and processes and positive skill set and tools to do. It's not hard. It's just about being consistent in your daily work and your daily practice. And you too will not only become unbreakable, but you can operate in your authentic power with your authentic self. That's my time, y'all. And y'all take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.